Alright, so this is going to be a tutorial on how to replace the COMAND knob shaft, which gets broken in the W204 2007 to 2014 Mercedes C300. That was the only one with a manual. The automatics are a little bit different, so this is going to cover manual. And the first thing to do is to get a trim removal tool and pry up around the shift boot trim here. So here's the shift boot up. This is pretty delicate, this like chrome finish. It kind of flakes off if you're not careful. So try not to bend it too much. There's just a couple tabs around that click in there, so it's not too bad. And now for the aluminum trim around the shifter. This is just going to be firm tug straight up on the front on both sides, and then it should come off like that. So next you're going to want to open the center console with one of the buttons on the sides, and then remove this rubber insert for this hole here. And that should expose a T20, I believe. And then there are going to be a couple more up front. I think there's one there, and then there's one closer here. Might be out of frame. Alright, so it turns out you only need to take out that T20, and then to remove this piece, you're going to want to push kind of forward and up on the front edge of this cup holder here. And I'm going to be replacing it because this trim ring is a little bit destroyed. But yeah, that's how you remove this piece. And that reveals the COMAND knob and the whole switch assembly. So the next piece of the puzzle is to unplug the switch from like where it mounts into the chassis. So you can get the light on it there. So this part slides into the top, and then this, I've already undone it, but this rests, see if I can get it. There's a little like fork right here that this bottom piece slides into, and you're going to want to push it down carefully out from this fork, and then you have leeway to kind of pull it away. So you'll notice here's the ribbon. It's this 4-cable ribbon that the switch plugs into, and you're going to want to reach down. This is right in front of the switch, and pull. I think the far side of this is going to that plug further up. You're going to want to pull this a little bit to give yourself some room to move the switch. So pull it out a little bit. Careful not to pull too hard, obviously. It's pretty delicate. So here I have the switch removed. You can see the cable attaches to it, and then kind of gets wound under the center console. And I think to really pull this totally out, you would need to pull the center console, but I'm just going to do it this way. It's easier. You can see I've already taken off the top ring. So I think there are a ton of videos that cover this, how to remove the top ring. It's kind of tricky, especially on my car, which has probably been neglected. But you want to pry this outer ring piece up first, and I found it was easiest to use a screwdriver kind of on this little flat putter under here and pry up like that. And then you have let's see, you have the ring and this little like adhesive strip. Carefully pry this piece up, and then you'll have the top plate, and this was kind of tricky to get off. I had to use like a pick tool, but just pry that off. It's adhesive. And then finally you have a T8. I was able to use a T9 in there, but T8 Torx. And just unscrew it, and the knob comes off. So now that the knob assembly is out, I think there are these 8, I think, T10s on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the bottom, and we'll just take them all out. It might even be 10 actually. There are 2 next to the wire there. Alright, so now that all the Torx T10 fasteners are out from the bottom, you should just be able to slide the top off easily. And so here is the COMAND knob, and we're going to be taking this down. The shaft that we need to replace is in here, so let's keep going. Alright, so the let's see, this like assembly is off. this like top collar assembly, and then these little plastic pieces that sit on like the side buttons have been taken off. For those, you kind of have to pry apart this fork, and then they kind of fall out. Careful not to lose them. Alright, so the next step is to pry these little lever holders off. And there are much better videos elsewhere on YouTube, so I suggest you go look at one of those. My camera just can't zoom in enough to see it. But these are really easy to come off. You just put a little like pick or something, or a small flathead, kind of at this angle in there, and then pull the lever forward away from, or like towards this opening, and then this whole plastic piece just kind of comes up. Alright, so at this point you're going to want to lift the board out carefully while pulling the ribbon cable up through the housing. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it there. And then this is going to reveal the shaft that you want to replace. I've already pulled it out. Mine's here in the two pieces at where it breaks. So I'm going to get the new shaft and put a little bit of silicone grease on it and put it back in. Alright, going to try this on the iPhone. So this is the new shaft. As you can see, it has like a cutout up top and on the bottom. And this is the old shaft in two parts. There's the brake, and here's the top part where it usually is attached. There's the broken part. Alright, so the new shaft is in. It was a little tricky to get in. It's like a little bit of an interference fit with the plastic. But there it is. Old shaft out, new shaft in. And now it's time to put everything back together. So the first is this plastic piece. Kind of slides over the shaft like that. And next is going to be the... Now that the board is back on, we're going to take these little plastic pieces and slide them over. They should snap into place nicely. And with these little plastic retainers back on, we're going to put these rockers in again. There's like that axle that they go into the holes with, and then I guess they press or whatever, but they kind of slide in like this. I need two hands for this. It's actually kind of cool the way these switches work. I think they're like little optical switches, and so if I press on it, you can see that little piece, that little wiper kind of passing in front of that little sensor. Kind of cool. So German. Alright, so switches are back on. The next step is, this is like the tactile part, I guess. You can see this provides like that feel for the button. And it's all sorts of like different polymers. Kind of cool. So this should just slide onto the shaft. I think it goes this way. And then you're going to want to make sure when you take it off the orientation is the same. And I'll double check before I put it all back together that this is correct. Alright, so this is the order of like the stack of the button. So this yellow piece, you can see it only covers like 180-degree parts of the button. This piece goes forward and backwards on the switch assembly. So just like this. And you'll want to make sure everything is seated nicely before you put it back together. And once that like stack is back together, then you can put the top cover back on and put the 10 Torx T10s back in the bottom. Alright, so now a moment of truth. I'm going to test the radio. Ooh. I get copyrighted. So when I... Nice. So the scrolling function is working again. Alright.